Today, I'm saddened that in spite of the beautiful rhetoric that the president came to the National Assembly to deliver, the president was silent about restoration of democratic rule and normalization of civil rule in Rivers State. And I'm further saddened. And actually, I feel very sad that the National Assembly, the President of the Senate, will look at the National Assembly and the Senate in particular as a place where anything can be thrown at us and it should go. The undemocratic military rule that is still subsisting in Rivers State. And that was why I wanted to raise that point of order. If you have a military administration in the midst of a democracy that we're celebrating today, of all days, why did the president and the Senate president choose today, being Democracy Day in Nigeria, to read those undemocratic and unconstitutional and illegal communications to the National Assembly? I will not even bother to take constructive objections and concerns. Well, that tells you how the APC has reduced Nigeria's democracy to. I take very strong objections to that. And listening to the president's very flowery, otherwise impressive speech, let me say this. It's a good thing to make beautiful declarations of principles and show democratic commitment. Words don't show democratic commitment. What matters is actions, actions and actions. The president touched on some notes that were right, recognizing those who fought for democracy. And I was a young man in the trenches myself. And because of those, joined the AD. The president knows that. But you cannot be celebrating democracy. You cannot be flaunting yourself as a Democrat on the one hand, and on the other hand, be trampling democracy under your big presidential foot in Rivers State. The president missed a golden opportunity to raise and deepen democracy in Nigeria by restoring on today's Democracy Day democratic and normal civil constitutional rule in Rivers State. Of all the things the president said, the president was silent about Rivers State. And today is about democracy. Today is not about repression. Today is not about suppression of the views of the people of Rivers State. Today is about respecting and upholding the democratic rights under the Constitution and the laws. These issues that some of us feel passionate about, it's not because of Fubara's nationality. It's not about Fubara's party, if he has any. And these days, you can't even be sure which party people belong to. But these are issues about respecting the democratic rights of the people of Rivers State under the Constitution. So I'm disappointed, firstly, that the president never said a word about the undemocratic developments in Rivers State, which he has enabled, which he has brought about, which he has sanctioned, and which he continues to sustain. And creating an impression as if all is well. No. As long as any part of Nigeria is under military rule, democracy is endangered in Nigeria as a whole. And I've spoken to my brothers and friends and sisters in the Southwest, some of them in the National Assembly. Because as some of you may know, I'm also maternally Ijebu, and proudly so. With this undemocratic precedent, the president, by pandering to particular political interests, has put the overall democracy of our people, particularly in big states like Lagos and Kano, in the future. Because in the future, arising from the precedent, the undemocratic and illegal precedent the president has set in Rivers, any other president from any other part of this country, and no one can monopolize power forever. If he cannot get victory in Lagos and Kano and big states, we now apply what they will term the Tinubu doctrine, which will be declare a state of emergency, sack all constitutional civil authorities, appoint people, military administrator, appoint people to conduct local government elections, appoint people to run the civil service. We can't allow that. And we pray that that day should not come for states like Lagos and Kano. What they are doing confirms the fear some of us have had since, which is that what they try to do in Lagos is a power grab. Today, I'm saddened that in spite of the beautiful rhetoric that the president came to the National Assembly to deliver, the president was silent about restoration of democratic rule and normalization of civil rule in Rivers State. And I'm further saddened. And actually, I feel very sad that the National Assembly, the President of the Senate, will look at the National Assembly and the Senate in particular as a place where anything can be thrown at us and it should go. But let me assure him and all of you and my constituents that they all know me for who I am, and it's too late for me to change. Our nation cannot be a nation of sycophants. Our nation cannot be a nation of bootlickers. Democracy is not sustained by bootlickers and sycophants. I'm not in political service for appointments and contracts and money. Some of us are propelled by values that are bigger than us. And we have held on to this at great cost. So what he's doing is nothing to me. And the fight for democracy continues. I urge you all not to lose faith. In this nation, there was a time when people who voiced their opinions about democracy were hounded into detention, where security agencies, instead of focusing on fighting crime and criminality and bandits, will be focusing on political people who hold opposing political views. Well, Nigeria survived it. We have seen situations where organizations set up to fight crime, fraud, corruption, all turn their searchlight to suppress dissenting views. Our nation survived. The president himself was put on trial at some point. His triumph was not a personal one. It was a triumph of democracy. And I want to assure you all, Nigerians, that you should be more committed. Don't be cowed. Don't be made hopeless. Democracy is sustained by hard work, by sweat, by tears. And this fight must go on. I thought that on today's Democracy Day, there will be no better way to wish you all and all Nigerians happy Democracy Day without making these few observations. Lastly, the president said he's not working to achieve a one-party state. That's well and good to say. But like I said, words don't matter more as much as actions. Actions. We count on the president, as a Democrat that he professes to be, to respect the rights of Nigerians to opinions of their own, to associations and platforms of their own, as he himself expressed, and to let his party leaders in the National Assembly know that you can't talk of democracy if views, dissenting views, opposing views in the National Assembly are suppressed. Where you are running away from those who say no to you. That's not democracy. As I said, democracy is not sustained by bootleg